Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this week's 30 at 3 live presentation. What we're going to be focusing on here this week is a kind of a new tool that we've added here with the latest release. So we have a Connect release that now works with Revit 2013. This Find Connection tool is also included in the latest release for Revit 2012 as well, if you're still running Revit 2012 and need to use this. So what this tool really does for us, just an easy, quick way to help us locate different types of connections. You know, we can locate based on connection type, failed connections, user connections, that sort of thing. So we'll kind of go through here and see how this tool works and the ins and outs of it here. So up here, you're going to notice with the latest release that we are no longer under the add-ins tab. We actually have our own tab now, SDS2 Connect, and that's where we're going to find all of our toolbars here now. So we have the Find Connection up here. And when I first click on that, it's going to have to go through and kind of build this database for the different connections. So it's fairly quick, doesn't take too long. So we're just basically here reading in all the information of the different connections so that we can see all the different settings that we're going to need to see for all of these. Okay, so once we get this database built here, we're going to see our Find Connection window then, and the first thing you'll notice up here at the top, we're going to see a filters section. So right now we don't have any filters set, and then we have the list of elements right here in the middle with the scroll bar. So right now, since there's no filters, we're really just seeing list of all the different element IDs. Now I could go ahead and I could double click on that. Notice here we have a right and a left end. Basically, left end corresponds to your start end in Revit. Right end would correspond to your end in Revit. And then it's going to give you a picture here. When I double clicked on that, it highlighted it over here in the Revit model, zoom to fit there. If I were to simply left click on it one time in that list, it's going to show me the picture right here in the Find Connection tool. And then I can actually simply left click and rotate around that connection to kind of see what's going on with it. Basically, there's no zoom or anything within this window at this point. It's just a rotate. Basically, right about the center of that connection, you'll be able to rotate around. So again, then double-clicking on that in the list is going to highlight that in the Revit model and zoom to fit. Now, I want to go ahead and apply some sort of filter here to narrow this list down to find specific connections. So just first off, real easily, maybe I want to see failed connections. Okay, so I can double click on failed connections over here on the left hand side, and then notice that puts that in my filter there. It narrows this list down of elements to only elements that have failed connections. Again, if I go ahead and left click, it's going to bring it up here for me. If I double click, it's going to zoom to fit and highlight that in the model over here on the right. If I need to clear one of these filters, simply click the X over towards the right side and it clears that filter. Again, that list now goes back to everything in the model. I can search for things like member types. So if I want to see the connections for maybe just my vertical brace connections, I can do that. Okay, maybe I want to set this to a specific connection type. So I can pull that up, set the connection type that I want to see. Now this corresponds to the connection type that you have selected within the connection edit window. So if I set that to clip angle, it's going to come up with a list of that. Now I can also use the is or is not buttons up here to say this is not. If I just click on it, it's going to say is not a input connection type of clip angle. Okay. I can also combine filters then, so if I want to see the connection types of clip angle, and maybe I also want to see a moment connection type that is, let's say, bolted, so I'll select bolted, and it keeps narrowing that list down then based on all those settings. Can go through here. One of the things you're going to notice here also, just as an example here with some of these moment connections, on this particular one, notice how we get, looks like some material kind of hanging off in space there. What that actually is, that's actually some doublers and stiffeners that were designed for the column that we're framing into. So in this Find Connection Tool window, you're actually going to see all the material that is associated with this connection, whether it be doublers, stiffeners, that sort of thing, within the supporting member. We don't actually show that supporting member within this Find Connection Tool window at this point. So now another thing you can do here, so let's just go back. Let's say I'm going to clear these filters here. Maybe I'm looking at my failed connections. And let's just grab one here. So I highlight that, and I want to actually make some changes to this then. I want to edit that connection and investigate why this is a failed connection. So what I can do at that point is I have the Return to Model button down here in the bottom right corner. If I click Return to Model, still leaves a portion of my window up here, but then what that allows me to do, that actually allows me to navigate around in the model. I can function in the model just like I normally would. So now I want to go ahead and edit one of these connections. Again, I have a keyboard shortcut for ED, so I just type ED. I could pick the beam, pick my connection node, and then I can go ahead and actually edit that connection same time I have that Find Connection window open. I see my failed message down here at the bottom. I could make adjustments to this. I'm just going to kind of cheat a little bit here, lower the load to get my connection then. Same thing with the top here. Maybe I want to make an adjustment. So I get my connection. Now I can go ahead and come back over here to the Find Connection, double click on the next element here and go to that one. Then I can keep making changes. Now if I need to get back to that Find Connection tool, maybe I need to change up my filters a little bit. Right now you notice my filters are kind of gone. They disappeared when I click the Return to Model button. If I simply come up here and click Find Connection on the toolbar again, that's going to take me back in there. I can change my filters and whatnot at that point then. Okay, so that's kind of the how the Find Connection tool works. Couple things I want to point out in here and explain a little bit. We have a couple options down here. So the different load options, if I want to go ahead and select shear load there, what that's going to allow me to do is that's going to allow me to search for connections with, say, a range of kips. So I'm going to say I want to search for connections whose shear load is between 40 and 50 kips, and then it comes up with that list. Okay. Same with the moment load or tension load. You're setting a range there that you want to search for. Then under the connection query section, a couple different things within there. Just kind of explain to you some of the ones that you might want to be looking at there. The first one, bolt diameters changed by system. See if I can find a good one here. So if I double click on that, what that actually means, I'm going to return to the model and edit this connection. So what that actually means is that SDS2 Connect, when it was designing this connection, for the loads that are applied here, it recognized or realized that it couldn't use the default bolt diameter that I have set up here, so it went ahead and increased that from the default. I can see that if I go into design details, I can actually see the bolt diameter that is used here. So that just means that SDS2 Connect had to, typically it's increased that bolt diameter for a connection. Okay, another one in there, beam web doublers. Okay, so beam web doublers, that just simply means we're designing for web doublers and a clip angle connection like we see there. Shear load below minimum setup. So what that means is we actually have a shear load applied that is below what we have SDS2 Connect set up to automatically figure. By default, it's 50% uniform allowable load, but you can go into your setup and change that information. Another one here, indeterminate end. Basically what that means is, excuse me, that member is, or that element is actually framing to nothing. There's no supporting member for that particular end of that. So, and another one here, last one, kind of explain a little bit, braces with different thickness gusset. Okay, that is talking about a brace. Both ends of the brace has a different thickness. So one end of the brace might have a 3/8 inch thick gusset on it. The other end of the brace might have 5/8 or 3/4. Okay, so a lot of people doing these connections always want on vertical braces or horizontal braces, they always want both gussets on each end to be the same thickness. This is a good way to locate where SDS2 Connect may not have done that. And what you can do at that point then, you just go ahead and come in here to this brace that we have highlighted. What you can do at that point, if you want to go ahead and edit those connections, I can determine the gusset thickness for, so here we have a plate thickness of 1/2 inch. I could then look on the other end, see what that is, make an adjustment on one end or the other then to actually get the same thickness gusset then on both ends. So, okay, so that's the Find tool. Once I'm done with it, I go ahead and say close. Now, one other thing that we have added is a failed connection parameter that we can use then in conjunction with Revit's view filters. Okay, so I'm just going to do it for my 3D view here. I'll go to my visibility graphics. If I come into filters and I create a new filter, okay, I'm going to call this one failed connections. I'm going to set this up for I want both structural columns and I want structural framing. I'm going to go ahead and say filter by failed connection is my parameter, and I'm going to say that equals yes. Okay, I'll go ahead and add this. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to set this pattern. I'm going to choose a color in here. Maybe I'll choose red. And the pattern, I'll make this a solid fill pattern. Go ahead and say OK. Now what that does, we can see in the model there, all my different beams, columns that have failed connections are actually being highlighted red then based on that failed connection parameter that we set. So again then, quickly, easily see those failed connections, I can come in here. Maybe I need to make some adjustments. I can edit the connections, do whatever I need to do in there then. Okay, so those are kind of the new tools that we have added within the new versions. Like I said, we got the new version out finally that works with Revit 2013, so that should be available. You're going to see these tools in there. So with that, kind of a little bit shorter presentation today, but now what I'll do, I'm going to go ahead and just simply open it up to questions and answers. If you want to go ahead and type your questions over there in the questions part of the GoToWebinar toolbar, I will answer those best I can here. So one question I have here is the design actually done in Revit, and how do the changes get sent back to SDS2? So yes, in this case, the design can actually be done in Revit, or it can be done in SDS2, and then we have the round trip capabilities. So you'll see up here on the toolbar we have the export to SDS2 and the import to SDS2, and that's a bidirectional transfer. And what that's going to do is that's going to transfer beam, column, brace information, and it's also going to include all the connection information within that transfer file then as well. So it can get sent back to SDS2. Okay, does anybody else have any questions? I do have one about, I believe it's talking about this particular connection here. Someone asked about the kind of a lot of rows of bolts on top and bottom is with a shear tab. Maybe I'm not looking at the same connection as being asked about. I assumed this was the one being asked about, but we do have a bolted moment there, beam to beam situation. So we do something like that. Another question here is, does the export to SDS2 send a load info? And what we would actually be sending to and from SDS2 with this is, I'll go ahead and show you. If I edit one of these connections, we have our load information in here, or if you would rather use the term, I guess, end reactions, that is the information that we're going to be sending to and from SDS2 is our end reactions that we see here under this load section. So we'll do that for, again, beams, columns, and braces. So yes, that is transferred. Okay, any other questions here? Okay, if we don't have any more questions, actually I did get one here at the end. I'll go ahead and answer. So one question is, are load cases transferred from CSC Fast Track? What we do is, if you notice up here on our toolbar, if you're working with Fast Track and you're transferring models between Revit and Fast Track, and you also want to use Connect in conjunction with that, we have the option up here to import Fast Track forces. So what we'll do with that is the same file that's used to import a model into Revit from CSC, our end reaction information is also included in that file, and we can use that import button there to then import the end reactions and get those applied to our corresponding connections then, and have the connections designed then on the actual design loads coming from Fast Track. So yes, we can do that. Okay, so last thing I want to go ahead and just end off with here. If you guys do have any other questions, feel free to email us here. Best way to get a hold of us for Connect-related questions is support@sds2connect.com. Go ahead and feel free to email us here. If you want to call, that's fine also. And then I just want to go ahead and mention here, remind a few of you, we do have a promotion going on during the month of June here, so we got a few days left on this promotion, but it's for $500 off the purchase of Connect, and I believe that is each license. I'll have to double check on that one though, but I believe it is for each license. All you got to do is go like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. It'll give you a promo code then to input when you go to the purchase on our website, $500 off the purchase. So again, that's just for the last couple of days of June here. So if you're interested, want to take advantage of that, only got a few days. Again, feel free to email, call me here with any questions, and thanks everybody for coming. Have a good day.